Hey everybody, Alex here with Freedom Mowers. I hope you all are doing well. Today we've got a really cool commercial push mower that a friend of mine brought me. This thing hasn't run in years, so let's see what it takes to get this thing going and what all we got to fix. Alright, and here's what we've got. This is a commercial TM22. This is a Key, or made by Key. This is the Trailmate. It's a commercial grade push mower with high back wheels. They're kind of like a 90s plastic BMX wheel. It has the front swivel that has bushings for adjustment and greasable cert. Big solid deck on here, 22 inch, 5 horsepower Honda engine on here, and really that's about all I know. This is from a buddy of mine who works for the VA, fellow veteran. He used this, he said, about 15 years ago for his commercial landscape company at the time, and when he got done with that, it's pretty much been parked since. So as far as I know, other than it just sitting, he hasn't even tried to run it. He told me just to get this thing going and see what it needs, all for repair. Now, it did come with 2 flat tires. I just aired them both up. The right tire, as I was pushing it over here, the inner tube blew out on it. So I'll probably just end up getting 2 new bike inner tubes, and we'll go from there. But we'll push this into the shop and see what we got to do to get this going. So we'll go ahead and check the fuel, air filter, and oil here in just a minute. I was kind of seeing how the cover comes off from here, but I'll show you guys. So basically all this is just one big spindle with a 22-inch blade on the bottom, just belt driven straight off from the engine. But honestly, it's a really simple design, but most of the time that is better. It does have adjustments on the actual engine mounting plate. So to adjust the belt tension on here, you basically just slide the engine forward and back, and then on the rear there is like a locking bolt that basically locks the plate into place. And let's see, on the top side here we have just like the dead man switch, and then there is a throttle lever. So it says all the way forward is choke, and then fast, and then slow, and then stop. So really simple machine, and I don't know a whole lot about it. I've honestly never even worked on one of these style Honda engines, so we'll figure this all out together. More than likely what we'll end up doing is just check everything over on here real quick. We'll hit it with a little carb spray, see if it kicks over. Filter doesn't look too bad on here. We'll blow that out. And the tank is bone dry. I'll go ahead and get here for the oil. So on Honda engines and Kawasaki's, to check them, you unthread this, you pull it out, and then you don't screw it back in. You just put the dipstick up against the threads to get the proper reading. So doesn't look too bad. Give this a quick wipe. Honestly, that oil looks almost brand new, and it is up to just below the full, so we should have no problems there. So what I'll do, we'll take this outside because the blade is sitting pretty close to the carpet in here, and I don't feel like shredding that up. So let me grab some spray, we'll pull it outside and see if this thing will kick over for us. Honestly, I'd love to have one of these because I've got a part in the yard that's kind of hard to get the riding mower into and grows super tall, and something with the high wheel like this, they're really easy to push. And obviously this one was built tough. So we'll go to, let me make sure the throttle isn't stuck. So we'll just do like medium throttle and see what it does. Well, that didn't take a whole lot. See if we can keep it running for a sec. All right. Also did want to note that the belt on here looks to be in really good shape. I don't see any dry rot or splitting or anything like that. I'll go ahead, I'm gonna put just a splash of fuel in here. I don't think that carb is gonna work, but we'll give it a shot. And if it doesn't, then we'll go ahead, get that all removed and get it cleaned up in ultrasonic cleaner. I've got some 89 non-ethanol fuel here. So we'll just go ahead and try it as it is right now. Try it one more time. If not, we'll just go ahead and get ready to get this carb cleaned up. And it looks like we're going to be replacing this pull cord too, because that is dry rotted and it's just about to break. So I'll go ahead, we'll get everything set up to pull the recoil and pull this carb off. All right, and it looks like to pull this manifold, we just need to get these two 10 millimeters out, but it does appear that the manifold goes up into this upper cover. So I believe we're gonna have to pull the upper cover to even begin with, which I see one Phillips or JIS screw. So that just comes up. So it looks like we've got three 10 millimeter nuts to take off. And there's our recoil. Not quite sure what all's holding this on here. Alright, I had to just look around for a minute and try to just see if there was any other bolts or anything like that. It just, the cover snaps on, so that popped right up. And my fuel line did come right off from the clamp, so I'll set the fuel tank off to the side. And right off the bat, I don't see anything crazy going on here. Just our governor linkage. We'll see if everything is working like it's supposed to. Yeah, see the choke's kind of sticking on here a little bit too. And then it looks like we've got just this crankcase breather. This is just our kill wire coming down from the handlebar directly to the coil on here. And then we should just have just these two 10s. Manifold. Probably gonna have to break our seal for the gasket. There we go. Pull that gasket off. There's some corrosion on the studs here. And then I've just got to slide off this fuel hose. Alright, fuel hose is off. And then with these, normally we've just got to pull it out enough to get the throttle straight in line, and then it should just slide up. Governor assist spring. And then our choke here. Gotta figure out how we can get this off. Alright, I thought you guys could see a little better. I was filming getting the choke lever off, but basically all I did is there's two bolts on this whole throttle assembly bracket. I took the top one out and loosened the bottom one, which was able to basically slide all this over and get our choke lever a little bit closer to the end of these studs. And then you can swing it off the studs and get it off that Z-bend. Basically just leaving it just like that. Nothing had to come off as far as linkages. And then I'm just going to go ahead and start this bolt back in. That way everything just stays in place. Now what I'm going to do from here is get this carb blown off. We'll open it up, see how everything looks, get it cleaned up a bit, and then we'll throw it in the ultrasonic cleaner. Alright, not much came off with the blower, but we'll see what we're working with here. 10mm on the bottom. The one on the very bottom is actually to take the bowl off. The other one is actually, you can open that and drain the fuel at the end of the season. Oh yeah, and there's a ton of crud in there. Bunch of chunkies. So that definitely was not going to be working for us. So we'll take that. Tip of the needle doesn't look damaged. I mean, all the stuff is just coated in gunk here, but alright, we need to take that main jet out. What I'm going to do, I think I'm going to try to blow on this and see if I can get all this cleaned out, and then I'll put a little bit of some penetrating spray down in here, and we'll see if we can get that loosened up, because a lot of times those are stuck in there, and you don't want to start breaking that brass. Alright, I tried on that main jet and I cannot get that to budge, so I don't want to keep going and trying to break it. I'm going to see if it'll come out after I run it through the ultrasonic cleaner. I'm going to go ahead and take out the idle adjustment screw here, and then underneath of that we have our little cap here that underneath is the actual pilot jet, which is super tiny on these. Alright, and on this little pilot jet I usually like to use, I've got my welding brush and I usually take some bristles out of there, but super tiny little port. I'm not sure if you guys can even see that, but my brush is going right through, so this is at least clear. I'll make sure to spray all that down. Let's see. So at this point what I'll do, we'll get some carb spray and we'll go through all of the ports on here. I'm just going to start right at the where our pilot goes through. And then we'll go right up the main jet. Which seems to be flowing. And then there's a little port right here on the side. That's where the fuel picks up to go up to the main jet. That's clear. And then we can go through all of these ports here on the front. That one goes to our pilot. That one also comes through the pilot and comes out the back. So it's hard to see, but there are 3 little openings right along the edge behind this butterfly. And you want to just make sure that you're getting flow through there. But other than that, I'm going to go ahead at this point and just run this through the ultrasonic cleaner. I'll make sure to blow everything back out and show you guys when it's done. Alright, I'm waiting on the ultrasonic cleaner to finish up. We're going to go ahead and restring this pull start. I've gone ahead and burnt the end. I've got just a spool of some pull rope here, and this thing was definitely on its way out the door. What do we have? Two little strands left, and I got to try to feed all this back through. So we're just going to pull it till we get to the end here. And then we can go ahead and cut. Just going to line it up here. Feed back through our new. I should have grabbed something to clamp this. Just gonna put one little knot on the end the way that they had it. And then we'll go ahead and draw up that knot. Feed that back down in. It's just got like a little pocket this one was sitting in. A lot of times you can feed like a screwdriver or anything through it to keep it from turning on you, but we should be all set there. I'm just going to go ahead and let it go slowly until this thing winds itself up. And then we'll give ourselves some room here for the handle. On this one, we should just have to, let's see, how does this cap come off? Slides right out. We'll go ahead and just cut. Towards the end of our rope. Good there. Feed this handle back on. And we can just make sure, cinch it, pull that in, everything tight, and we are good there. That's all there is to it. That's done. We'll go back to the ultrasonic cleaner and see how everything looks. Alright, I got this out the cleaner. Everything looks good. I have been through the ports on here several times. On the O-ring that seals the bowl, I did put a little bit of some marine grease that I've got on there just to rehydrate that seal. And all of the spots you see inside the bowl here, that is actual pitting in the metal. So that is the best I can get this, but it is all cleaned up. Our float was good. I did put a little bit of grease on the O-ring here of our pilot jet. That's nice and clear. And really, that is about it. The tip of the needle valve looked good. So we should be all set for reassembly. We just got to push our spring onto the float. That looks good. We can go ahead and put in our pilot. That clicks right in. I'll run in this throttle screw. If I need to make adjustments, I will. A lot of times what you can do too, before you take this screw out, you can just count by turning it in until it bottoms out. That way you know approximately where you were to start with. I'm just going to run it in a bit and we'll go from there. Put our float in. We'll just make sure that's nice and level. I'm going to blow through it. And just blowing through it and then letting it seal. Seems like it's holding. And then, let's see. Now I've just got to figure out which position the drain valve was on here. So this was to the outside of the machine. So I'll just go ahead and put the drain to the outside. Really, you can position it wherever you want. But that is really about it on this carb. Alright, just got that put back into place. You guys saw how all this came off from here. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any new fuel line on hand, so I'm just going to use what we had for now. And just make sure that your gaskets are good. I went ahead and put the one on the front here. All of our linkages are in position. I've got the 2 bolts to tighten up, the intake tube, and then we're going to put back on the recoil and top cover. Alright, and here we are about a week later. I was waiting on some parts to come in. We needed some inner tubes. And after that last clip,
I went to do the second startup on this just after we did our initial, and the spring actually broke inside of the pull start here. And the way that this one is made, basically this center pin is pressed in and it flares out on the end. There's really no good way other than basically trying to bang this crimp back out straight and to be able to get that pull start pulled apart. Now I did look on Amazon and they actually had some for this engine, and this one is able to be taken apart, just has the bolt in the middle. So it's a little unfortunate we got one start, but we've got a new pull start. I'm just going to go ahead and pop that on real quick. We'll go ahead and crank this back up. Like I said, it's been about a week, so we'll know if we've got a good cold start on this. And then we'll go ahead and start taking these wheels off, get those inner tubes in, and see what else we got to do. All right, 3 nuts later, we'll try this again. Cold start. Alright, we'll see if it'll start up off choke this time. Excellent. Well, this is running great. So what we'll do, we'll pull this in the shop. I'll see what size these nuts are. We'll go ahead, just take off one wheel at a time, throw in those tubes, and then we'll go ahead, take a look at that blade, probably grease up that front end, get the covers back on, and try to get this thing for some test cutting. All right, so this just has a nut on each side. I was checking, it looks like it's gonna be a 15 for us. So, got the 3-ton floor jack under here. Hopefully that's enough to hold this beast. So the actual way to adjust the cutting height on here is we've got 4 different settings on the wheels, so you can get those swapped, and then also the spacers there in the front. So not quite the easiest, but I guess if you just had 2 wrenches on hand, then you could get, actually you'd need 2 wrenches and then whatever that nut size is on the front to change that out. But you'd probably run this relatively fixed most of the time on most of the yards that you're cutting. Alright, hopefully this tire's not going to give us too much of a hard time. I do have this 2-foot long tire spoon, which may be a little overkill, but we'll see what we've got to do. And it looks like this tube was actually pinched. But this is the one that kind of blew out as soon as I was bringing it over, because both tires had no air in it. And then I put a little bit of air in each one to bring them over, and the one blew out on me. But we'll take a look, see what's going on here. This probably could have been patched. Oh, there we go. Oh, you guys can see that. That went all the way down the side. I take that back. This could definitely not have been patched. Let's see how far that blowout went. About probably a good 10 inches or so. But alright, so that tube is done. Let me grab the other one. I'll go ahead and put just a little bit of air in it to kind of give it some shape, and we'll just pop that right in. Like I said, we'll just give it a little bit of air to kind of give it a shape. And that should be enough for us to get that in there. And also, I want to go ahead and just make sure that we don't have any debris in here or anything sharp to poke. couple little flakes of grass, that is it. So we'll just go ahead and put our valve stem through. I'll just get it close to the right place. I'm going to try to feed this in, and then we'll feed the valve stem through. Make sure we get everything in place and we don't have any kinks or anything like that. Alright, valve stem. Put our cap on to keep it from pulling back through. And now I'm just going to run my hand around here and make sure everything is in place. And that feels good all the way around. So now I'm just going to see if I can just feed this right over the edge of the rim, and we'll work our way around. Much easier on these bicycle tires than what I'm used to dealing with on lawnmower tires. Now we've got to get our spoon. And make sure if you're doing this, you don't get up underneath of that. You don't get up underneath of that tube, because then you're just going to pinch and rip that. Oh yeah, that went right on. Alright, we are good there. 35 on this, so we'll put 30 in, see where it's at. Alright, there's about 32 right there. Alright, and I just looked underneath. This thing has a great looking blade, it just needs a little edge. I'll show you guys up underneath, and basically we just have 2 bolts that need to come out on that little bracket, and then we'll be able to drop down that whole assembly and show you guys. We'll put a quick edge on that blade, pop it back on, and let's make some test cuts. And about 2 minutes with the flap disc. This thing is nice and sharp, got a good edge. Checked it already, and we are nice and balanced. So pop that back on. I'm gonna go ahead and get the little pull start shroud back on, and then I'll take you guys over, get the chest mount, and I've got a spot in the yard that has a fair amount of grass, and we'll give this thing a go. One of the nice things I wanted to show you guys was that this can fit right through a lot of small gates, as long as I don't hit the brick over here, but it goes right through. Alright, in here I've probably got some areas that may be about 3 to 4 inches of grass. The rest is probably 2, but we should definitely be able to tell if we're getting a good cut. So here we go. She might want a little choke. don't know if it's showing up on camera, but this is cutting great already. I'm gonna go ahead and set you guys up on the tripod, and I'm just gonna finish off this area. All right, finished up this whole fenced in area, and that mower cut excellent. I did do just a little bit over there on the side off camera, but hopefully the camera picks it up. Nice level cut, no scalping, anything like that. Mower rolls excellent, easy to use. And just gave this thing a quick wash down. The only thing left I've got to do, I'm just going to do a quick oil change on it before it goes back to my buddy. Just got to put some grease in that front axle, and then we'll put that grass cover back over top. Personally, I wouldn't run it on here, but if you're going to be running this thing through brush or anything like that, it would at least help keep the belt from jumping off. But if you're just doing regular grass cutting, I would see no need for that. Keep the deck nice and clean. But overall, very cool machine, built well, very easy to use, and plenty of power. I did hit some spots in the yard that were pretty thick, and it only bogged just slightly. And as always, I greatly appreciate you guys checking out the channel. Hopefully you enjoyed the content. I know this one didn't take a whole lot to fix, but I thought it was a pretty cool machine, and this thing hasn't run in years. And with a carb clean, honestly, it's up running great. Just a little bit of some maintenance on it, and this thing should be cutting for years to come. So on that note, let freedom ring, let those small engines sing. I'll see you all in the next one.